Well, I think you know this being going into year 4 and working with Chris was very powerful in that we could, you know, um, really every year, specifically now, where veteran contracts are getting shorter and shorter. Post their first contract, their second and third contracts are getting shorter. You're having to solve different problems, and I think the way we've attacked it um, directly relates to the lessons learned, both good and bad, from the 2 previous years. So when I talk about the vision that I have, for our team in 2025, that includes players that are on the upward ascension of development, players that I think that we can further develop and that can contribute to a culture of a team first mentality that wins down the stretch of the season. So so far so good. We still have a lot of work. Free agency has gotten a little longer, so to speak. In my opinion, I think that it gets drawn out. There's a lot of transactions early, and then people are kind of trying to find their best fit. We're in communication with some players, and we have 10 draft picks, and those guys are unique because you have the ability to have a 4 to 5 year contracted employee that really can influence the character and culture of your team, as you progress. So I'm really excited, specifically for what we've done, who the types of players that we've added, and the scope of how we're going to address our needs. And I would love to tell you exactly what we're doing. Vaguely, I think that would be a competitive disadvantage. So I think, I felt like I hadn't looked at him in a while. But so it is so far so good, in lesser words.
Tyreek Hill posted on social media what appeared to be a peace out emoji in response to a post suggesting he could be traded. Have you spoken to him about this?
Whoa. No, I have not spoken about alleged read-ins on social media. No, because he's been he's definitely been a face within our building in the time period of end of season before phase 1 starts. He's been in the building more this year than the other years combined. Him and Robert Prince have spent a good amount of time together, and I think beyond that, who knows? Tyreek's known for whatever antics on social media. He's entertaining and whatever. So we're in a good spot where if there's anything that I needed to know, direct communication would be executed. No, I think that's a great question because I think our team in that scenario, I think I would be pumped if he was voted captain because I think that Tyreek, being accountable for who he is as a competitor and the what he's learned from in his journey, I think that means that his teammates have seen him completely, that they're all healed. They've all, as teammates, fully fully embraced the whole process of, hey, I'm a human being. This is wrong. This is right. This is how I want to do things. So to me, that would show, a healthy evolution, because you anytime anything happens, it's very natural. Like you have teammates that you love. They do something that that they regret, or maybe that they wish they could have done over again. Well, then you give them the opportunity to prove otherwise, and I think that's what Tyreek's up for the challenge, because Tyreek wants to set the standard of what type of competitors we have, so that I think if we're in a spot like that, we're probably healthy, in a way that would be good for the organization and all of Finn's Nation.
Can you say with certainty he will be on the team this upcoming season?
I mean, I can certainly say with certainty that at this certain moment, I think that's there. A lot of things can happen in the National Football League, so you throw absolutes out there, and then I'm hey, you said this. I mean, but yeah, we are fully planning to move forward as a better version of our relationship with Tyreek and the Miami Dolphins. So I have no reason to think otherwise.
Mike used the word accountable earlier when answering Chris's question about Tyreek. I mean, his most recent actions publicly were the I'm out thing and then some of the things he said on social media. So is there something maybe he said to you that tells you he's turning the corner and will be more accountable? Or will he be confident?
Absolutely. That's very fair, Hal, and I appreciate the how you kind of painted that picture. I would anticipate and totally understand. All right, the scope with which the fan base has a vision on, and what the in-house relationships are. I'm speaking from a place of that's a scar when it happens to you. For that's what I talked about on my couch the day after the game with Tyreek. That's like, hey, that's something that we have now gone through. What are we going to do about it? And I see action. The phrase I use with the players all the time is that I see better than I hear. And so the off-season connectivity, based upon my relationship and my experience in previous off seasons, how he's been in the building, what he's been talking about. I know what has been put on display during the regular season when we've had a fully attacking Tyreek Hill in the off season, being the pace car for all the sprints, being all of those things, and I fully expect to get a better version of that horse that is the reason that he was voted captain, and I think that's the biggest thing is there's been a lot of work that we don't go and publicize, but hours of human connectivity gives me the confidence that we're at a good space. And you know what? Like, no one's entitled to anything, including myself. Like, I fully expect that during any NFL season that if, based upon my work, if there was someone that would be better served, the team would be better off in place of me to do that work, I should immediately be replaced. And, I feel confident because he's saying and doing the right things. And, from an organizational standpoint, we've said that it's unacceptable. I say those words because, okay, well, we're not going to accept that. So he knows that. He's comfortable with that. It's not there's a good opportunity for people to for Tyreek Hill to do what's best served for him and his career, and what's best served for the Dolphins is for everybody is him excelling. I have confidence that he's putting himself in that position, and the second that he gives me information that I I should think otherwise, then we'll adjust.
On another level, we know he went through the wrist surgery and all. At what point will he be a full go? Will it be the start of training camp, the start of regular season?
Oh, so there's and this was important in the process because we really wanted to have a good off season with him, and that he prioritized that. So he made sure to be proactive, and the biggest thing is he's able to run. So that process we don't have to rush, and he will be able to do the things. There's so much in the receiver game in particular that all of the technique and fundamentals that are critical to you doing exceptional has to do with your feet and not contact. He'll be in the off season. We won't rush it, so there won't be any setbacks. But we'll gradually work him into catching the football and going through that process, so that at the end of the off-season program, we should be able to get that work that we were unable to the season before. But the key thing is he can run now. So there is a lot of participation available to him in the off-season program, which is what the team and what he needed.
Coach, you had the Commanders in training camp last year. I know you had your own job, but the job that Dan Quinn did with the Commanders, and do you expect that you guys will be the international game?
Wait. I'm pretty sure we're going international, right? I think we know that. I don't. It's hard to keep track of what I'm supposed to say and what I'm not. We will be in Madrid. I don't know against who, but I know as much as I could doing the job that I have about Dan Quinn's season last year, because I was chewing at the bit for that opportunity for some time. I know what type of coach Dan Quinn is. I also know what type of general manager Adam Peters is, working with him for 5 years in San Francisco. And I knew Dan was going to, he just really, really does things for the right reasons and is passionate about it. So he's been waiting for the opportunity. I couldn't wait for him to get it. I thought, what a perfect scenario, having worked there previous, of working for a fan or coaching for a fan base that truly appreciates what he has to offer. I just knew that was so I was expecting some positive returns. I don't think I could have forecasted it that quick, but I didn't rule it out either, because they're building stuff the right way. And in the National Football League, starting from the top, when you have a good relationship, a good working relationship that's real between the head coach and general manager, and you're making decisions for a concerted right reason above board of ego and whatever, it's a matter of time, but I see success more often than not in those situations. So I'm very fired up because he's a true, to me, Dan Quinn attacks the job the way organizations, the way fan bases, the way players all deserve. He's going all in and doing whatever he can to help realize players' dreams and help win football games. So, huge Dan Quinn fan, if you didn't notice.
Thank you, Mike.
So, both guys are, some of, there's a reason they're some of our favorite guys. Great communication with both of them. Calais specifically, is in a unique situation where he's assessing, multiple options as you know, a, a player in the 45th year of his career. So, like, I understand, and there's a lot at play in that with regard to, all right, so you're afforded your play is high, you decided to play another year. He's assessing those options, and he's a very important, he was a very important player to the team last year, and I see him having the opportunity to be a very important player on the team this year. I also see within that position group, because of reasons of a competitive disadvantage that I've mentioned before, I can't. I feel like we have some options at the position. He has some options. That position in particular has been, a focal point, of mine this offseason, and I feel good about how it could play out. And there's a couple different scenarios that could play out, as well as Tehran. Like I said at Indy, it's important for me to operate as though he is unavailable to us. He's a consummate professional that has earned this opportunity to figure out what he wants to do with his life. However, I do feel, in a reasonable amount of, I don't know, what's a reasonable time? Reasonably, let's say 2 weeks. I just feel he's getting close. He's getting closer to having conviction, but we're in constant communication with him as well. That's something that I think that will kind of be motivated by. All right, the great thing about Tehran and I is we have had unbelievable amount of conversations about his body and how he feels like that, right? And so I think they're, tied into that, where he's at relative to other years and how we could realistically forecast it. I think that's going to kind of shape, that the answer to that question, because it hasn't ever been about Tehran's play, right? It's been about how he's been available, and he's been straining to be more available for us than probably a counterpart would. He's played through a lot of stuff, and I think, we're fortunate that we have a heavy amount of reps on the topic, and we'll be able to, have a conversation about what that looks like, because that will be clean when that comes. What he'll be coming back as, whether that if he would be even able to compete to be able to withstand the rigors of the season as a starter.
Why do you have confidence that Zach Wilson is the right choice if Tua were to miss time, as he has, we all know, in some recent years?
Well, I think it's layered. This was something that was on, our mind for a considerable amount of time, and it goes back to, everybody has a different circumstance, but we drafted a quarterback in San Francisco the year he came out. I watched every snap of his collegiate play, and he was a phenomenal talent that, in my opinion, didn't have reps at an NFL pocket yet. Like at BYU, he was launching it from about 10 and 11 yards deep, and you're not in the phone booth. And so in my estimation, there was going to be some nuanced growth to his game that I think it is close to impossible to excel at that early in that new form of football that he was playing. That's powerful to me in that there's very few people that know what it's like to be drafted high in New York City. And so then to see his resolve, to see where he's digested the whole situation, and it's like anything for all of us. Okay, if you have adversity in your life, that can be a source of strength and growth, or it could be a source of, all right, that's what defines you, and you can't get over that. What I see in Zach is the experience of being the second pick in the draft, being the starter week one, and then not fulfilling the rookie contract. That is behind him. So to me, that's an exciting prospect. Because that's there. You can't put a measurement on that human ability that is huge at the quarterback position. Not comparing the players at all, on the record, not comparing the players. Tua found that this environment helped him through that process. As coaches, we want to offer literally everything to his game, and I'm excited about where he's at based upon him.
So why was the move not for a more veteran experience?
Well, to be quite frank, it's an inexact science, but we thought that he was the best option for us. So, and I know, I think he was very much, I guess you guys wouldn't know this. I guess you guys are flying blind, so let me help you out. He was a direct, calculated target. We thought that was a way that the Miami Dolphins could get better, and are excited to see how he seizes that opportunity. No, that would be a very unique conversation. No, I think it's important. I see the pattern of what it is to be a head coach, and the responsibilities and the realities of it very clear. Mr. Ross has been only supportive to me, and ultimately, there's the way I look at it is I expect him to act on what I believe my position to be. Okay, so I'm not entitled to my position as the head coach of the Miami Dolphins. And so as we work together, he knows my expectation is to be the best person for the job. And, that can get convoluted. Was I the best person for the job last year? We lost more than we won. We were 8-9. There's a bunch of variables in that. There's variables in success. I think Nick Sirianni was, I want to be on that hot seat he was on last year. But what else would I expect? You're not entitled to position, and ultimately, if it's deemed that the organization would be best served with someone else, like I'm more on board with that than people realize. I think that's a natural part of it. It's why I didn't start. It's why I was able to not change when the same people are pointing out my failures were hyping me up through success. This is the fastest changing world in sports. Again, Nick Sirianni was on the hottest seat. But so if we, you know, did what, if we had more closer to the season that we were chasing, if we won 2 more games, does that make me a different coach? Um, I think it's important for me to do my job the right way, that I never look at any sort of entitlement to having the job, because shame on me for everybody involved. And that I'm very comfortable in that. So every year, to me, if you're not feeling heat on the seat, you have the wrong urgency. It should be that way every year, because this is not my gift. This is an incredible responsibility that I only sign up for because I think I'm the best person suited for it, and it's as matter of fact as that. So we don't have to have any of those weird conversations.
Mike,
Hmm? Well, I think culture is defined by the human beings. I think what's unique, and I think could be something that, I don't know, if I investigated, I could write about, is that there's more roster turnover in the National Football League now. There's smaller veteran contracts, right? Or there's smaller second and third year contracts. You've seen a lot more 3 years or 2 years or 1 year. So how do you have a sustained culture? Well, it's by the people. Well, draft classes, not only have to be impactful year one, your draft classes are also your 4 to 5 year commitments that you have the ability to set the tonality of how your team is, or the culture that it So to me, I was very happy with last year's draft class. And we're working, Chris and I are working day and night to make sure we have the same vigor about the opportunity with the 10 draft picks this year, because you're talking about in 2 years, 17 players that you have a sustained process in a league where, with parity, it's all about development. So we're trying to get the right guys to develop as professionals, and their core value has to be team football winning, and they really have to get joy out of that. That was a component that was consistent among the different personalities we drafted last year. All these guys were living and breathing football, and I think that's even more important as each team, all 32, have a unique exercise. It has changed in the last couple years, specifically, of having your football team having an identity that progresses while handling all the roster turnover that's natural with all these shorter contracts that people are signed up for. So it is, I think the draft has always been fun. The draft has always been important. There's a unique twist to the draft now, as I see it, big picture, and it's very important that we not only take all the things that we did well from last year and that draft class, but we have 3 more, we have 10 picks, and so that we try to have as many contributors to our football team and our culture as possible with those draft picks that will be here for a minute.
You mentioned it as a play calling head coach. What do you value most in an offensive coordinator, and how do you see it turn out?
Well, I think it's super important as a play calling head coach that the only way that you can even enter into that sphere is if you're properly assisted, because there's a merger, so to speak, of a couple jobs. Well, you can't do two jobs. You'll be poor at both. So to merge those, there has to be a support system within the coaching staff that enables you to do that. And what that is are people that can see the game, they can see the game how you will see it, or anticipate how you'll see it, and really do a lot of front end work so you can make your decisions that you'd normally do in a shorter amount of time. So what does that look like for me? I have, starting with Frank Smith, and then, Butch Berry, and, I added Bobby Sloak. Those guys, they should be able to tell me what personnel group I should be studying first, where I used to have to figure out that the best personnel group to study was this. That deep into my process, they should be able to get me there. So now I'm, examples like that. They have to be very adept at their job. They have to be self-starters. You can't do it without the right support, or you'll fail at both. And there is one place that you can't hide in the National Football League, and that's a play calling and head coach. You can't hide there, so you better be supported.